Good day, Gambia. Welcome to yet another edition of D's Take. I do talk quite a lot about, a host of issues, social issues, political issues, but life is more than social and political. We need to deal with the whole spectrum, the whole gamut of just living. And today I want to talk about knowledge. I want to talk about philosophy. I want to talk about wisdom. And I will take that opportunity to invite an author who's written a book on wisdom and wisdom as it relates to the Quran. So I have here with me today Mr. Omar Nyang Njie. So I'll welcome Mr. Omar Nyang Njie to my show. Mr. Njie, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Njie, I was just looking at your book and quite impressive. And first of all, I must say congratulations.
Thank you.
A good job on a good literature as it comes to wisdom and philosophy. I've tried to read this book and I've seen quite a lot of things that interest me, not only as a reader of religious work, but non-religious work, because philosophy, like I said, goes beyond religion. Basically, I think this is philosophy that's based more on religious verses, but it's applicable to real life and all other denominations. So, what led you to write this book, Wisdom as it Relates to the Quran?
Initially, I've been inspired by my son, Mohammed Njie, who is based here in South Carolina. So when I relocated, from Maryland to South Carolina, we had the opportunity to discuss, and that led me to work on this book, which is Wisdom, like you said, as it relates to the Quran. Now, wisdom, as you know, entails quite a lot of multifaceted dimensions, which we will elaborate later.
All right, quite impressive once again, like I said. And the more I look into it, the more it makes me just want to read the book. And basically, you've talked about wisdom like first, second, and third statement. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, what I mean by that is when you talk of wisdom, first of all, you have to relate it to the acquisition of knowledge, and that knowledge has to be pragmatic, it has to be relevant, and it has to be applicable. Okay. And that's why I've choose first, second, and third statement, because knowledge that is not applicable is inert, and inert knowledge doesn't benefit nobody. So therefore, you got to seek relevant knowledge, and the Quran is a book that is based on the truth, and that's why it is assured by Allah that it is guarded and it cannot be corrupted. So therefore, taking most of the literature to back up, like you said, the philosophical arguments in the book, the Quran substantiates those factors to validate it.
Wonderful. And you've also said that wisdom has two components. One is divine and the other one is acquired. And what's your take, or what do you mean by that? When we talk of acquired knowledge, we can talk of acquisition of knowledge. Now, the acquisition of knowledge is something that one can derive from literature. You can also acquire knowledge through your life experiences. For example, when you travel, you go to another country, you can, acquire knowledge through the cultural differences that prevail, in that particular country. So knowledge is something that could be attained from books, and also it could be attained from life experiences. That's the first part. Now, when we talk of divine knowledge, that we have seen some practical evidences both in the Quran and also in other aspects of life. Take, for example, some of the prophets received that divine knowledge, and we can start, for example, with Noah, Prophet Noah, and that was why he was inspired through God divine's message to prepare the boat, of which you will have two of each types of animals, and then he will take off, because that land where he was going to be destroyed, because the people were disobedient and wouldn't obey his command, which he received, that divine knowledge which he received from God. Another example is also Abraham, Prophet Abraham. He received divine knowledge, and it could also come in the form of a dream, like what Abraham had until he wanted to sacrifice his son Ishmael. We have also seen divine knowledge being given to Moses, and he went to a point where he thought that he was the most knowledgeable man during his time. God said, no, I will send you Kadir, who will come and he will teach you wisdom. So again, there you see knowledge versus wisdom, because there are some hidden knowledge which not everybody will attain. And those are the kinds of knowledge that you can receive through the blessings and will of Allah.
So that's divine intervention. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the more I look into the book, like I said, it gives me a philosophical backing. Like, not everything is just clear in black and white. Like you said, most of us understand learned knowledge, things that we know based on what we are taught. But like you've rightly stated, there are things we're not taught, but it's instilled. And I guess that's the divine intervention by the Most High, God or Allah, to most of us. So I think that's, great. And also, looking another chapter of the book is talking about wisdom of Tawwa. And also, there's also wisdom to believe in Al-Qadr. These are things, people like me, I'm not too familiar with. And if you can elaborate a little bit, we'll appreciate.
Yeah, wisdom based on Tawbah, that's repentance. Tawbah means repentance. Because as human beings, we are created in a manner whereby we falter. Now, because we are imperfect due to the nature of our creation, God created everything in a perfect manner. But with man, there is that what I would say it is inherent in us because of the nafs. That's what I wanted to say. We have that nafs, which is the soul. And the soul, prevail at 3 different levels. You have the soul when it prevails at the animal state of man, and it is through that stage where man will falter and transgress. And Satan also is another accomplice who will try to, lure you into evil deeds. So man is battling with his nafs and Satan at the same time. Now, to overcome that, you have to perform tawbah, which is repentance. And when you do that, God can help you elevate and move to another level, which is the moral state of man. Now, the moral state will enable you to distinguish right from wrong. And through that, it's not even enough. You got to try and move to another level because there is no demarcation line. And that's the spiritual level, which is the highest. And when you attain that level of, spirituality, then you are closer to Allah.
Okay. Most of us do believe quite a lot in science, and we use science as a guide to our life, especially in this state of technology and, creation. Not creation, but creativity. So basically, we believe that a lot of things around us revolve because of our technological equations and things like that. But you've said somewhere that not everything is known to man and certain things are hidden. Even as developed and as advanced as science is, not everything is out there for all of us to see and know.
Yeah, that is true, because scientific knowledge, man tends to believe that he's in control. And God has made us, in a manner whereby we're arrogant. Man by nature is a very arrogant being. And man is pompous. Man likes to boast of his achievements. But as a result of that, man tends to believe that whatever he creates, he can control. And when we come to science, technology, there are limitations of that, investment. Okay, that limitation lies in the fact that science and technology is neutral. That neutrality gives man, not the ability, but it makes man, lose control of what he has created. An example is like Frankenstein and the monster he created. He created that monster and later cannot control it. So we have witnessed, for example, I can give you another example, where man has got all the necessary gadgets to control an aircraft, but we have seen aircrafts disappearing at mid-air. So where are the gadgets? You see, so it means to say that technology that we have can fail us at any time. So it's only the knowledge of Allah that is perfect, and it's the knowledge of Allah that is pure and is dominant.
Okay. And I think your book is available on Amazon. It's also available at Barnes & Noble, both in North America, Western Europe, and also in Africa. You can order the book and it will be delivered. And I was told that the book sold out the first week of its publication, which to me is a great news. And I'll say a hearty congratulations to you that a book that's been published got sold out first week, and the publishers have reprinted again, and they have stocked both Amazon and Barnes & Nobles. And also you can buy directly from the publisher Ex Libris. So I think it's a great read, and I recommend people to take a copy, read it, and it will be beneficial, because there's a lot of things in this book that are new to me, and it's a different dimension as it relates to knowledge acquisition for me, because I've been looking at knowledge with a different perspective, and this book has given me the opportunity to take, a critical look of knowledge as it relates to spirituality. And like I said, this book is backed by a lot of work and literature from the Quran, but it doesn't mean it's solely a religious book, because the author is not a theologian, by the way. He's just, an avid reader of the Quran who decided that, he's going to write a book about wisdom because he's been inspired by the things he has seen in the Quran.
Yeah, that is a fact. Going back to your point, I'll elaborate on the initial point you made. Yes, it's true that the book got sold out during the first week of its launching. And I think what happened is that readers may have found out that this is a different type of, narration, or a different type of book which has a multi-purpose dimension, because we live in a world whereby today is corrupted. Like I said, people follow their nafs, and also Satan is also working in a manner whereby people, has gone to a point whereby they are just evil and are just destructive. Even the animals, you can say in some areas that they are much tamer in some instances than mankind, because in the past we used to be afraid of these wild animals, but you can tame them. But now man has become so vulgar, so arrogant, and so destructive. So now the book deals with those areas whereby it will try to, make man understand that we need to have that spiritual base which will enable us to rise up and take off from there. And at the same time, the philosophical arguments which relates to everyday life, because we have seen in areas where nowadays families cannot even control their kids. The technology we use, like cell phones, has corrupted our minds. And also, if you look at television, it's another aspect. So these are some of the areas that the book has dwelled on, and in a very educative and philosophical point of view, and will leave the reader to do his own analysis and come to a conclusion.
Well, I think that's great, and most philosophers of old used to say that knowledge is divine. And if you go to places like Egypt, you walk into the pyramids, the first thing you will see in hieroglyph and the walls of the pyramid is "Seek and you shall find." Mm-hmm. Also, you go to biblical references, you will see the same thing. And you come to the Quran, it says "Ikra." Mm-hmm. So basically, man has to be in a quest to search for knowledge. And knowledge, as far as I know, is very infinite, and it's good to see and have another dimension of knowledge. So once again, like I said, I want people to get a copy of this book, have a good read at it, and also see knowledge in a different form and a different perspective. And that's what life is all about. I will take the book for a second read, and I want to do, once I'm finished with it, a review of the book, because for me, it's a very interesting literature, and it's something that will benefit mankind. So I really want to take a critical read of the book again, and see how best I can do a review of the book.
Well, I'm delighted, Mr. Njie, that you've raised that point. Just a couple of days ago, I received an email from the publishers, Exribis, and they told me that they themselves have distributed various, information which invites, news media, people, which invites, institutions like universities, for them to also take a look at the book and do some review. So I'm glad that you've mentioned that point. So you're welcome. I would like you to look at it positively and see how best you can make a review, and then come up with your conclusions. And equally, I would welcome, the point which my publishers have made and the direction that they are taking the book. So the book at the moment is at that level where it is, giving the opportunity for people who have got experience in that particular area to do reviews like yourself, to actually, tackle the book and see what kind of, analysis and comments they can come out with. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Njie. Once again, a hearty congratulations for your efforts. A hearty congratulations to you coming out with a great piece of work, a great literature, something that's going to benefit mankind. And this book transcends race, it transcends religion, and it has a common denominator as it relates to knowledge and knowledge acquisition. So whoever wants to buy this book, you need to buy it not because of religion, not because of race, but because of your quest for knowledge. And it's a knowledge-based book that has its anchor on the Quran, but it doesn't make it a religious book. So it's open for all to read. And going through it, it's not a difficult read. And people who love knowledge will see that it's something that's a way forward. Mr. Njie, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to it. And I hope there are other publications coming your way in coming months or year from now.
Yeah, thank you. I will elaborate a little bit more on what you've said. And it's a fact that the book is not only meant for Muslims, but non-Muslims as well, because it's a knowledge-based book, and it invites mankind in general to take a look at the book and then see the benefits that it entails. Also, going to the second point, yes, I have got another book that's coming up, and my intention was to first publish that one, but unfortunately this one happened to materialize before that one. So I'm working on it, and it's currently under review, and then sooner or later it will be out in the market.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't mind to co-author a book with you, but I'm sure it's not going to be on such... if I to do a book right now, it will be socio-political or socio-economic. So I don't know how you feel about it. Will you love to author a book with me someday?
Yeah, this is something that we've discussed, long ago, and I'm glad that you've reminded me. And it's a challenge that I would like to take, because nowadays the world is corrupted by factors such as political, and factors such as religious, and factors such as educational. What I mean by educational is the fact that there are a lot of people out there who need that high level of education to enable them become part of the productive member of society. And because they lack that, they've been kind of relegated to a level whereby
they don't have the opportunities and the privileges. So therefore, it will be my pleasure for us to tackle these three and try to see how we can raise the political awareness of the majority of people, in particular in the Gambia, the economical awareness of the vast majority of people in the Gambia, and also the educational awareness of the vast majority of people in the Gambia. And all these three, they need to be raised at a very high level. If it's not happening, then we cannot compete in the global market. And this is why countries like Europe and America are way ahead of us, because they got these three levels of awareness at a very high level attained by the majority of their people. Unfortunately for us in the Gambia, these three, by the majority of people, they are at a low ebb.
All right, and your final word, what's your take on the new Gambia and where the new Gambia is heading?
What I've seen, based from my own perception, is that we have a divided country. And our leaders, they need to work really hard to unite the people. Because if we're not united, we're all in the same boat, and if the boat sinks, we all sink. So therefore, let's forget about partisan politics, because that will not take us anywhere. It will just make us linger behind. What we need to focus on is the development aspects of what can move the country, like I said, economical, health, education, agriculture. You know, these are the vital areas in which tourism is another area we need to look at and see how best we can engage Gambians who have the knowledge and skills, work with them, and make sure that youths in the country have jobs to go to. Presently, our labor market system is supply-driven by our education system. We have a supply-driven education system. And that's why school leavers are not matching with the expectations of employers, and the opportunities are not there. So we need to revert that so that we'll have a demand-driven type of education like what prevails in Europe and America.
All right. Thank you so much. And like I said, a great read, something you can order on Barnes & Noble, something you can get on Amazon or Ex Libris. And by the way, it's also available for Kindle and anyone who wants an ebook. So you can also download the book through Amazon, Barnes & Noble. And the book is also available on hardcover, softcover, and the e-version. So once again, thank you.